Welcome, everyone. I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Jane Crawford, and I am one of the bereavement counselors here at Hospice of Holland. We would like to welcome you to a season of grief. How can I handle the holidays? Before we begin, I would like to let my other two hosts here introduce themselves, Heidi Covey and Kate Meyer. Would you ladies please introduce yourselves?
Hello, I'm Heidi, one of the bereavement counselors here at Hospice of Holland.
Hi, everybody. Kate Meyer. We're glad you're here tonight. I'm also one of the bereavement counselors here with Hospice.
Thank you, ladies. Also, I have a couple of announcements I'd just like to let you all know before we begin. And the first is that the workshop tonight is being recorded, just to let you know that. Also, please leave your video and your mic off, if you would, for the entirety of our time together. If you would like to make a comment or if you have a question, if you scroll down to the bottom of your screen, you will see a chat window there. You feel free to click on that and to put a question or a comment in the chat room, and we will be monitoring that as we go. So please feel free to do that as well. And then finally, we will be utilizing some candle lighting towards the end of our time together. So if you have candles that you would like to light at home, we will be using 4 candles, or you may use 1 if you'd like, but that is something for you to do that is optional if you'd like to do that. So as we begin tonight, we wanted to begin with just to let you know that we understand that the holidays can be very challenging for people, and that's why we like to have this workshop every fall, just to give you some tools, if you will, to help you through this time. You may also find that some tools that you've used in the past to help during challenging holiday seasons may not help or may not be enough to help you this year, and that's okay. That's why we're here, and that's why we're here to help you. So tonight's presentation also is not written for one specific holiday. It's basically a general time for us to get together to understand that whether it's Christmas or whether it's Easter or Thanksgiving, whether it's a birthday or an anniversary, whether it's the new year or Easter time, it doesn't matter what the holiday is. The tools that we give you this evening will help with all of those times. So also to give you a couple of definitions, when we talk about grief, we're talking about the internal process of experiencing a loss. And this can happen for a variety of losses. You can have loss through death, which is what we will specifically speak of this evening. You can have loss through a lot of different ways: the loss of a job, the loss of a relationship, the loss of a friendship, the loss of expectations for your career, for your future. So we can have grief over a lot of different types of losses, but it does encompass the entire person. So grief affects us physically, emotionally, psychologically, spiritually, through a wide range of different types of things. And that's the internal process of loss, is what we refer to as grief. The external process is what we call mourning. So it's the external behaviors. One way to explain this, a good example, is that years ago, often people would wear the color black when they were in mourning, so that people would instantly recognize that those people were mourning. They would be a little bit more gentle with them. They'd be a little bit more patient with them. In some ways, it would be nice if we continued that tradition, because I think people would be a little bit more gentle with those that were mourning. Often we don't have always an external way to see specifically that people are grieving, but we still have them. So it's important for you to think, how am I showing my grief on the outside? Am I just a little bit slower to do things? Am I slower to respond? Has my eating been affected, or my sleeping? Do I not want to go out with people or meet people outside of my home as much as I did before my loss? So those kinds of things are important for us to think about and to recognize while we're grieving and while we're mourning. So also, when you think about the holiday season, please know that for many, many people, the holidays are stressful, not just while they're mourning and while they're grieving, but in general, they're stressful. Grief adds to that stress often. Some views on holidays are, holidays are a time of joy and excitement, and people look forward to them all year. That's one view. Another is that it's a mixed bag. The end result may be fun, getting together with family and friends may be fun, exciting, but there's also stress. There can also be stress of developing the plans that you're going to do with your family and friends, or just getting together with family and friends can be difficult. So there's those two views, and then there's a third view of the holidays are dreaded and or feared because of past losses. So this year, please be gentle with yourself and know that this holiday season may be different than the past, but it also may be different than the future. This may be one that you kind of put a pause button on those big festivities, and maybe you just deal with it a little bit more calmly and serenely. Sometimes grievers decide to go away for the holidays, just with their immediate family, so they don't have to deal with a lot of the big celebrations, because it can be a very difficult time. So think about which of these three are you. I also wanted to point out in handout A, if you look at your handout there that's in your packet, some questions to prepare you for the holidays. So it would be really a good idea to think about the holidays and to prepare yourself with these questions before we go into the holiday season. So now is a perfect time, if you're thinking about Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year, things like that, to start to begin to ask yourself these questions. Anticipate that there probably will be some pain, some memories, some difficulty going through the holiday season. And so then when the fears arise, you can talk about, what can I do to kind of help with that? Often I will recommend to people that if they are going to meet with family and friends during the holidays, something simple like just drive separately or make your plans tentative. So tell your family or your friends that you will get together, that's the plan, but if something changes, that you'll let them know. And that kind of gives you an out if it gets too painful, that you're able to excuse yourself and to leave, and that's okay. Then also the fear of preparation, just the idea of getting things ready, decorating your home or getting things ready for the holidays can seem overwhelming. And that's okay. So think about who supports you in that. Perhaps this is the year you let other people decorate, or other people bring the food for the holidays, or you go to someone else's house to celebrate. And then the wish to avoid the season, and that can be very natural, to just want to go away or fast forward through the days or just not do anything on the day, and know that can be a natural thing to feel. And then also the pressure regarding expectations. So perhaps some people in your life expect this holiday season to be exactly the same as it has been. The traditions are the same and they want it to be the same. That's why a good communication is really important with your expectations, with your family, your friends, the people that you're close with, whoever they may be. Communicate with them what your expectations are. Let them know that you might need to back out of a few things, that you don't want to put a lot of pressure on yourself this year. And then choose some traditions that are important to you, because traditions can be important in solidifying and bonding one another. So if you want to, pick a few traditions that maybe aren't as painful, something that you can do together that can help you through the holiday season. And then also memorializing your loved one. And this can be very important, particularly for the children, or if you have small children, this can be something that's very important, but really for everyone to kind of think about the loved one and just be able to talk about him or her, or just talk about some memories if you can. And then also, I think it's important for us at this stage to recognize that grief is stressful. Often it's described as a cloud that's hanging over you, or a backpack full of rocks that you're carrying around. It is a lot that you're going through. Remember, it affects you in every way, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. You may not want to celebrate. You may not feel like celebrating. You may be tired a lot. So understand that those things happen, and to give yourself the space to rest more, to be gentle with yourself more, and to know that this is a season that you're going through. It does not mean that the rest of the holidays for the rest of your life will be just like this one. They will be what they will be in the future. And this one is very unique. And so just be gentle with yourself. So additionally to that, if you think about what coping skills that you have in place, if you'll look at your handout B there for a second, we've listed some guidelines for helping you cope through the holidays. And this handout particularly, I would recommend that you keep handy because it gives you a lot of really practical ways to sort of handle this very, very difficult time. We recognize that it's a difficult time. It's painful. It's you recognize the loss, and often you think about last year, what you were going through. So some things that I want to point out here are accepting the likelihood of pain. So just recognizing that it will probably come, but that's okay. You have the tools to kind of help you work through the painful times. Plan ahead. That is extremely important. To be able, like I said, to give yourself an out, to give yourself the ability to let your family and friends know, I need to leave early, or I cannot come to this event this year, but thank you for asking me, those kinds of things. Express yourself and communicate well with the people around you. Take charge where you can. Sometimes people think, I can't do the whole meal, but I'm willing to do this part of it, or I'm not going to stay for the whole day of celebration, but I'm willing to come for an hour or two and drive separately, that kind of thing. Also, rely on others and turn to others to help. Don't be afraid to ask for help. This is something that caregivers particularly have a very difficult time doing, asking for help, because they're usually the ones that do everything. But remember, you have that backpack full of rocks on. You have that grief that's bearing down on you. So it's okay to ask for help, to be gentle with yourself. Also, remember to remember. It's important for us not to be so caught up in the busyness of the holiday season that we take a moment to just breathe and remember our treasured memories of the past. Search out and count your blessings, which can always help when you're thinking about all of the sorrow that is overwhelming you and the loss and how much you miss your person. To think about your blessings and to count those things that you have. Do something for others. This can help. And during this holiday season particularly, there's a lot of charities that need help, or a lot of people that just need an extra helping hand. And that can help with your grief, to focus on another person for a time. And then encounter your faith. And I think this is important too, to lean into those belief systems that you have, to talk to your faith leader, to talk to your friends, to talk to people that can really give you that support and that encouragement. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to Heidi, and she's going to continue with our time together. Thanks.
Yes, thank you, Jane. So as we were talking about the internal stress, we want to recognize too the external stress. Again, the stress that others might place on you to celebrate the holidays, the people in your family, friends, coworkers, and your community. And just, it's helpful to pause and just think about those outside stresses that, while they're well-intended, they're still added stress and expectations that are coming in. There is a quote from Margaret Mead here. When people are born, we celebrate. When they marry, we jubilate. And when they die, we pretend nothing happened. Has this quote been true for you? Do people seem to forget that you are grieving this holiday season? In order to withstand the internal and external stressors, we need a plan, as we've been mentioning. If you look at handout C, it's called My Holiday Plan. And this is just a really practical tool that you can use later on to spend time with. It can be helpful, as we keep saying, to plan ahead. This is a list of common holiday events and traditions, but feel free to add your own. There's plenty of space, and you can always use extra paper. But it's helpful to pause and ask yourself, is this important to me? Is this out of my free choice? Is this a tradition? Or is this obligation? Then begin to make a plan, keeping in mind that as the many options that you do have available, they're always options, right? And you can choose to keep things the same, make changes, share, delegate, or skip it. Give yourself permission to plan what is best for you and change your plan if needed. Remember that even if you opt to do things differently this year, you can always return to the traditions in the future. Another way to be prepared is to face what may come when holidays. This does not mean you will experience these all the time, but it's important to recognize the possibility, just as Jane was mentioning. Emotions can feel more raw or intense. You may be more acutely aware of what has changed this year. Your concentration and focus may be a challenge. It may feel as though you've gone back to the beginning of your grief journey. That's normal, and it doesn't mean you're not coping well. It's just a signal to take extra care and attention this time of year. It means you may need to find a better balance. If you'll look at handout D, that one is called Helping Myself Through the Holidays. And feel free to follow along, jotting down notes as we talk about finding balance. The numbers in parentheses refer to the question number on your handout. It's important to acknowledge that grief work is real work, often hard work. Allow yourself to be merely human, needing other supportive humans to help you. So, who are the people you want to be around during the holidays? Who builds you up? Who makes you feel loved and cared for? Who gives you rest, refreshment, and restores you? The people that can cry with you, laugh with you, or just simply be near in peace. These are the ones that you want to spend time with during the holidays, if you choose to be with others during the holidays. Again, it is your choice to be alone as well. Acknowledge the people that may be difficult to be around too, the ones that maybe drain you or don't seem to understand. They expect too much of you. Or there's others that are just a strong reminder of the person that died. Be open and honest with yourself first about these different types of people in your support system. And then be open and honest with your family and friends about your grief and what may be helpful to you this year. It's okay to remind them that you're still hurting and need to do things differently. It's okay to set time limits with people and events, just as we've been talking about, and be strategic about your escape route if needed. Communicating ahead of time with friends and family will be the most helpful, asking them to be patient with you if you cancel at the last minute or need to leave earlier than they may have hoped or arriving later to an event. Consider the traditions that you want to include this year, the ones that give you hope, comfort, and meaning to your life, and maybe even honors your person that died. Remind yourself that it's okay to feel joy, love, hope, and comfort during the holidays. Think through what traditions normally do this for you in previous years and whether you will include them or not. Some traditions you may want to skip this year. Give yourself the freedom and permission to explore this aspect and don't hold any expectations. Let yourself change your mind without guilt. In addition to the traditions, think through events and places that could be difficult or could be helpful. While it's okay to change some things this year, be careful not to change everything. You don't want to add any more loss and grief in your journey that you're already going through. Many of these will take a trial and error approach, so you may not know how you will feel about something until you try it. Again, give yourself grace and compassion as you bravely step forward to test that out. And go back to the things that have worked for you already in your grief journey. Those activities, people, and things that you know comfort you in your grief, that calm you and restore you, mind, body, and spirit. Rituals and remembering are another part of helping us to express grief and honor the person that died during the holiday season. It can be really helpful to set aside time during this very busy season to tend to your grief. Give yourself the space and time to think all the thoughts, feel the emotions, and relive the memories that may get stirred up during the holidays. Consider collecting memories alone or with others. Gather memories in many forms: written, verbal, pictures, videos, and objects. You can use the alphabet, what we call the A to Z memories, often really popular with younger children, where you use the alphabet to write down character traits, attributes, or memories of your person using the letters A to Z. Consider a cemetery visit or visit with the ashes. Many people find it comforting to visit the cemetery or to be near the urn of ashes, to place a wreath or some other holiday object as an expression of love and remembrance that someone close to you is missed this year. Letter writing to the person that died can be helpful to express all the things you still wish to express to them. You may keep the letter as a reminder. You could place it in their stocking or hang on your tree. Share it with others at your holiday gathering. You could burn it or bury it, whatever feels right for you. Planting a tree or a bush, weather permitting, of course, can give you a physical object to go to. It gives you something to touch and remember your person, as well as to see the growth of the tree or bush as a symbol of your own growth in this grief journey and how the memory of your person and their life continues in you. And now we'll turn it over to Kate for a few more ideas.
Thanks, Heidi. So a few more rituals that we'll go ahead and review. Candle, we're going to do a lot with candles here in the next couple of minutes, but candle lighting can be a really helpful thing. One of the tools you can try is to have a specific candle, a certain one that you keep maybe in a dedicated place where either you walk by regularly or other members of your family do, and maybe you keep a picture of your loved one by that candle or something else, another kind of object to help you be reminded of them. And then when you're having a difficult day, when you're having a day when you would like to hear some stories about your person, or would like someone just to say their name, you can light the candle, and that is a signal to everybody who comes over that today is a day. Today is a day that you're either struggling or maybe you just need a little extra reminders of the presence of your person. So that's just one way that we can use candles. And again, in a few minutes, we'll be going through some more ways that you can do that. Worship. Worship, I know, can be particularly difficult for people, especially in early grief, but sometimes lasting for months, even years for people. The music can be a really big struggle, especially because music is so close to our souls. So something that we recommend you look for, several churches in the area have what they call Blue Christmas services of worship focused particularly on the holidays and this time when everyone around us is happy and joyful. And it's taking the moment to pause and recognize that not everybody is in that place. You can also look for grief share holiday services that are happening in the area. And those are more church services that are also worship based and just ways to help you tend to that spiritual part of yourself, as Jane was talking about earlier. It's an important thing to do because grieving, as Jane also said, does impact us. Our whole being. It impacts us mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. So being able to tend to that can be really helpful. Stockings. So obviously this is particularly for Christmas, but if you use stockings at other times, that's okay too. But this can be for stockings. This can be for other things that you typically put out. Some families do Saint Nick, right? So still putting out a shoe for your person. So it's considering still hanging their stocking. But then what do you do with that? Perhaps you combine one of the rituals that Heidi was just talking about with this, and you write throughout the month of December, you write notes to your person and you put them in their stocking. Or you write down some of your favorite Christmas memories with your person and you put those in the stocking. And then on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, you gather as a family and you read through those things, recognizing that people have the ability and the freedom to write private on there so that they don't need to worry about somebody reading something they want to say. But it's a nice place to gather and to have a central place to be able to put those thoughts and memories. When it comes to gifts, it can be one of those bittersweet moments where as we're buying gifts for other people, we have this heavy awareness that we aren't buying a gift for our person anymore. And so one thing that you can do with that is to buy a gift in their honor. So something that they would enjoy and that they would have benefited from, and then donate it to a place where someone who had similar hobbies or interests could benefit. Or consider donating to something like Toys for Tots or other drives during the season where you are giving of time, right? Not just money, but maybe you're giving of time. Maybe as a family you go together and can serve a meal or can work a coat drive or can do something of that nature specifically in the honor of your person. And then ornaments, another tradition you can do, as I think as all three of us have talked about tonight, the memory of your person isn't going anywhere. And so what's true this holiday season isn't going to be true next holiday season. But what will remain constant, what will always be true, is your person will journey with you. You will carry them with you. And so consider, maybe you pick out an ornament this year. If you're part of a family, maybe as a family together, you pick one out that symbolizes the memory of your person. And then each year you can either buy a new one and add to it, or it becomes a special moment every year as you unwrap the ornament and hang it on the tree. Just a really clear and solid memory of your person's presence, that they are there with you in this new way during this season. So we're going to move now into the candle lighting. So I encourage you, if you have not gathered candles, you are welcome to do so at this time. Before we get going, I do want to add, you have these words on your own slides. And so I encourage you to take these with you. And then as we go through the season, if you're wanting to gather friends and family together, maybe make your own Blue Christmas type service from your own faith tradition with people who also have experienced a loss of some kind and are grieving in these holidays. You can use these slides however it's helpful for you. If it's beneficial for you to return to this type of ritual together with other people. So this first candle is our candle of voice. We light this first candle as a commitment to give voice to all of our grief emotions in this season. Our anger, our joy, our guilt, our gratitude, forgiveness, both given and received, our sadness, and our love. We commit to this because we know giving voice to our grief carries it from darkness into light. We light this candle knowing that in words we find power, and in words we find comfort. We light this candle committing to give voice to our pain, to feel the breadth and depth of our emotions, and to speak the names of our loved ones. This second candle is a candle of gratitude. We light this second candle in gratitude, recognizing that even in the midst of grief, we feel gratitude for having known and loved and been known and loved by our loved ones no longer with us in body. In the flicker of light, we are reminded also that we can be grateful of our loved one's presence, that it remains with us. We're grateful for community, family, and friends who allow us to walk our individual roads of grief in this holiday season. And for the third candle, we light this third candle in honor. Tonight we honor all that was good and kind and faithful in our loved ones. Tonight we also allow for those thoughts and memories that do not bring joy or peace. For in giving grief space to be expressed, we honor it. As the flames dance before us, we honor all of our memories, by letting them come to mind and releasing them or holding them in our hearts. And finally, our fourth candle. We light the final candle in hope. Hope that the memory of our loved ones will bring light and peace into this holiday season. We light this candle in hope that though the darkness of grief may accompany us, our holidays will be filled with a greater amount of light, love, and peace. As your bereavement department, we want to thank you. We want to thank you for your willingness to carve out some time tonight to give your grief the attention. It's a really important and healthy step that you've taken tonight. And we hope that you will reach out to your bereavement counselor as needed. If you are not yet connected with a bereavement counselor, please call Hospice of Holland and we will get you connected with one. Your grief will tempt you to be isolated. Remember that you are not alone. You do not walk this road alone, and we are here to help. As you see the lights that shine in homes and in candles, let that be a reminder to you of tonight. For hope, for voice, for honor, for gratitude. Each time you see those lights, may you be filled with all of that as you embrace this season and continue to move forward in your grief. Thank you all so much for being here tonight. That is the end of our program.